Okay folks, we're nearing the end of the wet season here in Hawaii, and I thought I'd show you some of the fruit that are fruiting right now here at the end of the wet season. And the one we'll start with is this. This is a tropical apricot tree. As you can see the fruit here. And this tree is absolutely covered right now with fruit. In fact, I was reading somewhere that a tropical apricot tree can put out maybe 100 pounds of fruit in a year. Here's some more over here. This tree is about 15 feet tall, and it probably could do just that because it's fruiting heavily right now, but it'll fruit off and on throughout the year. If you look closely here, some of these you can see, like this, are split. And that's because of the heavy rain we've been getting lately. A lot of the fruit has split open. A few of them have been pecked by birds, but mostly they're just split from the heavy rain. Now this tree, it's called a tropical apricot tree, not because it's related to apricots, it's not. But the fruit tastes an awful lot like a very sour or astringent apricot. It has that strong apricot-like flavor, but it's overwhelmed, unfortunately, by the sourness of this fruit. Now this is actually, the tropical apricot tree is actually a hybrid, as I understand it, and it's originally from Florida, a hybrid from Florida. It's a cross between two other trees. One of them is known as a Ceylon gooseberry, and the other is an Abyssinian gooseberry, which is from East Africa. And I believe the Ceylon gooseberry, of course, is from Sri Lanka. But here, if you look closely, if you're ever around one of these trees, have shoes on and be very careful, because you can see this thing has 2-inch spikes on it. And those spikes would go right through even a flip-flop if you're not careful. You can see them here. And it even has really small ones that are easy to miss. Besides the spikes, this thing does grow like a weed, so not everybody around here is really pleased with this tree. Some of my relatives have talked about cutting it down. You know, no sooner did I say this could go through a pair of flip-flops than, look at this. I'm wearing a pair of flip-flops, and something was poking me in the foot, and I had stepped on one of these thorns from this tree. As I said, be careful around these. They have some very sharp thorns, and they can be on the ground too. So anyway, what can you do with a tropical tropical apricot? Apparently they're usually used for making jam or juice, and I might try doing that in a future video. They're quite sour and astringent though, so you can see I wouldn't use these damaged ones, but there's plenty of good ones on there. You'd probably have to use this in a recipe that has some sugar in it. Some people like to eat them raw, and the chickens like them too. You can feed these to chickens right off the tree. But yeah, you could use them in jams or jellies apparently, or in juices. I might try that in a future video. Besides the tropical apricots, we have over here, you guys ought to recognize this. We got lemons. This is a lemon tree, and those are ripening up nicely. Here we have a Cherimoya, but there's no more really. We're gonna have to wait till next year. They were ripe earlier, a few months ago. And over here we have a soursop. The soursops are always reliable during the wet season. Sometimes they're called graviola, or sometimes they're called guanabana. And you can see we have a really fat one right here. This is an old standby of the wet season. You always know you'll get some soursop whenever the rainy season starts. Let's see how fat that is. And over here we have another good standby, which are Rollinia, but it's still a little too early for them. But maybe in the next couple of weeks. I actually see a ripe one up at the top here. But you can see this tree is going to have a large crop of Rollinia very soon. That'll turn yellow. And it's going to probably grow a little bit more. In the next few weeks that'll be ripe. Let's see some more up here. And next to it we have a star fruit, but I can see from here they're still immature. Let's see if we can see some. Well, they're not coming in. Anyway, that's more of dry season, and the Rollinia too, they usually ripen right at the beginning of the dry season. And this is going to be a good year for Rollinia, I can tell. And over here, this is a Japanese plum, but there's no more on that. Those ripened actually months back, maybe the beginning of the wet season. So anyway, the superstar right now is the Tropical Apricot. And unfortunately, they're not the tastiest things in the world because they're so tart. But if you know what to use them for, you can if you know what to use them for, you got plenty of them when they ripen up. So anyway, here's the Tropical Apricot again. Thanks for watching.